Good morning. The Hearing Board of the South Coast Air Quality Management District is in session. Today is Thursday, August 1st, 2019. The time is 9:00 a.m., and we are meeting in the Hearing Board room in Diamond Bar. We have one matter on the calendar for today, and then a training when that matter is concluded. And the matter we have today is South Coast AQMD versus D&D Disposal, Inc., doing business as West Coast Rendering Company, case number 3462-4, and this is a status report on the order for abatement. And who is representing the executive officer this morning?
Daphne Sue.
Morning, Ms. Sue. And who is representing D&D this morning?
Vincent Gorman, Vice President.
And Bill Gorman, President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gorman and Mr. Gorman. So we set this status hearing because at the last hearing there was significant progress made and a few dates that remained, and we wanted to just check in. And that's why we set this date for today. So first I'm going to ask everyone who wishes to testify or give evidence today, including any members of the public who might be present, to please rise to be sworn in. Please raise your right hand. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you all. Ms. Sue, you may begin with your opening.
Good morning. We are here for status hearing regarding D&D, a rendering facility. Since the last hearing, D&D has repaired its asphalt in the receiving area. D&D has also submitted its permit application for permanent total enclosures for its operations. It appears that the district will need to ask for additional information from the facility regarding these permit applications. Because it may take some time to obtain the necessary information, the district requests that the hearing board retain jurisdiction over the matter until October 31st, 2019, as is written in the current order, and strike the remainder of the language on lines 17 and 18 on page 10.
Can you tell us what language that is? I'm not sure if I have.
It says that, or until, hold on, let me make sure I have this in front of me.
Okay, so it's
or
just, okay.
Compliance with the terms of this order is achieved, whichever occurs first, to strike that language.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Does that complete your opening? Sorry.
Yes, and we have Mr. Dylan Harris here, the inspector, to testify regarding his inspections.
Thank you, Ms. Sue. Mr. Gorman, Mr. Vincent Gorman, or Mr. Bill Gorman, would either of you wish to make an opening statement today?
No, not I.
And likewise, no.
Thank you both. Ms. Sue, you may introduce Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris, could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Dylan Harris, DILLON HARRIS.
Are you under oath today to tell the truth?
Yes.
And what is your role at the district?
An air quality inspector?
And have you inspected the D&D since the last hearing on July 9th?
Yes.
What days did you inspect the facility?
On the 17th and the 30th of July.
And you have before you photographs, and I believe that should be marked.
I am going to mark them now. So we have received, I believe, 4 photographs stapled together. So we will mark the entire packet as Exhibit 4, the number 4, and we will do the first one, which was marked July 17th at 12:57 hours. That will be for A. The second one, which says at 7:30:19 at 9:21 hours, that'll be for B. The next one is on the 30th at 9:21 hours. That's for C. And the last one is on the 30th at 10:08 hours, and that will be for D, as in dog.
So, as Exhibit 4, are you familiar with these photographs?
Yes.
Did you take these photographs?
Yes.
Are these true and accurate representations of what you saw during your inspections of the facility?
Yes.
Can I please enter Exhibit 4 into evidence?
Mr. Gorman or Mr. Gorman, any objection to entering these photographs into evidence so we can rely on them?
None.
No objection.
Thank you very much. Exhibit 4 is entered into evidence.
And looking at Exhibit 4A, when did you take this photograph?
On the 17th at 12:57 hours.
And can you describe what we see in this photograph?
So this is just pretty much what the standard area looks like now. The pile has shrunk significantly, as you can see. And you can also see some of the repairs in the bottom of the photos of some of the cracks.
Okay, now turning to the next page, 4B, could you just, when did you take this photograph?
On the 30th. So this is also showing the receiving area. You can see the repairs of some of the cracks that have happened.
Okay, and that's at 9 a.m., 9:21 a.m.?
Correct.
Correct. Okay, and turning to the next page, 4C, what date and time did you take this photograph?
On the 30th at 9:21, and it's another example of the patchwork and fixing of the receiving area.
Okay, and turning to the next page, 4D, what time and date did you take this photograph?
On the 30th at 10:08, this is showing that the facility is still utilizing the covered totes, and there's about 10 to 15 of them.
Okay. And are you aware of whether D&D submitted permit applications as required by the order?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and is it your understanding that additional information will need to be provided by D&D?
Yes.
No further questions at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Vincent or Bill Gorman, do you have any questions for Mr. Harris?
Not I.
None?
Thank you. Board members, any questions for Mr. Harris? Mr. Balagopalan?
Morning, Mr. Harris. Do you know how long, on looking at 4A, the photograph, how long the material had been lying there? Or did you ascertain how long the material had been lying out in the open?
No, that day that material was already in the pile, I believe.
So you don't know how long they've been?
No, but as I said in the previous hearing, I've no reason to believe that they're not following the 4-hour limit because they are using the totes, and there is such a small pile as of late.
Okay. Do you know on the permit application what additional information is still pending?
That I'm unsure.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? No? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Harris. Ms. Sue, any other witnesses?
No.
Oh, it's okay. Mr. Balagopalan has another question.
Mr. Harris, do you know if there have been any complaints received since the last hearing?
Since the last hearing on the 9th, there have been 7 complaints in that area of rendering odors.
And do you know if it was followed up on the complaint that were followed up? And were the inspectors identified the source of the complaints over there?
No, there was no identification of what specific source it was. They did confirm that the odor was a rendering odor, but as we've discussed before, there's quite a few in the area, so it is hard to ascertain exactly where it's coming from.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, board members? Okay. No other witnesses, Ms. Sue?
No other witnesses.
Okay. At this time, Mr. Gorman or Mr. Gorman, do you wish to make any statements or give any additional evidence?
Not I.
No.
Thank you. And board members, oh, Ms. Sue, do you have any questions for Mr. Gorman or Mr. Gorman?
No, I do not.
Board members, anyone have any questions they wish to ask? Oh, Ms. Verdugo Peralta.
This may be either for Mr. Gorman or even possibly Mr. Harris. Having lived not far from there in Monterey Park, where we were the recipients on occasion of the odors in that vicinity, at the time, I knew that there were also slaughterhouses there, which were also a source of odor. Are they still there, or is it just these 5 facilities that are actually the sources of odor, if you know that.
Are we going back to Mr. Harris?
I'll start with Mr. Harris and then ask the Gormans.
I'm personally only aware of the rendering facilities in the area.
And
Yes.
if you can identify which Mr. Gorman is
Sure.
speaking for the record, thank you.
Bill Gorman. Farmer John still is a slaughterhouse packing house in the city of Vernon. Also, near Monterey Park, very close to Monterey Park, is Manning's, which is a beef slaughter facility, which is still in operation. Besides those two, I believe that's it.
Thank you very much.
Senator. I'm sorry, who are we going to? We did have Mr. Harris, but now it seems that other board members are having additional questions for Mr. Harris. Please let me know who the questions are for.
Mr. Harris,
Okay.
to your knowledge, do you know whether or not the orders and conditions that were adopted applying to D&D complied with?
If they've complied with the order?
Yeah,
Yes.
in every step of the way?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you had a question, Mr. Balagopalan had a question for one of Mr. Gorman's.
Referring to the picture in 4A, do you know happen to know, and the inspector took the picture close to 1 p.m., how long the material had been lying out there and how it was when it was subsequently put in towed, so.
Vincent Gorman, no, without the, my log that is surrendered to the district every Monday morning, without having a copy of that for the 17th, I wouldn't know, when
okay.
that was dropped off.
When it was dropped off, okay. Follow-up question on the permit application that was submitted. So did you get additional information requests from the engineering staff?
I did, and to exact amounts of what the application fee had to be, and that information was complied with and sent in to, and I've gotten email confirmation that yes, in fact, we are in receipt of it. So,
So I thought I heard testimony saying there was additional information that was requested. Was it only related to the fees, or were they asking for process description or process information?
not to me, they haven't asked for additional information.
So as far as you're aware, the application that you've submitted is complete?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And it is your intention to answer as promptly as possible any additional questions that may come on the permitting?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your testimony and for answering all of our outstanding questions. And I'm going to ask if any member of the public wishes to be heard today. And I see no one. Ms. Sue, if you have a closing statement.
Members of the board, the facility has repaired its asphalts and has also submitted permit applications. Until the permit to construct is issued, we would like that the board retain jurisdiction until at least October 31st, 2019. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vincent Gorman, Mr. Bill Gorman, would either of you like to make a final statement at all?
Not I, Vincent.
Bill Gorman, no.
Thank you very much. Board members, I think that Exhibit 4 really tells, pictures worth 1,000 words. These are 4 pictures that really show the incredible difference at this facility from the original pictures that we saw. Clearly, the Gormans and the facility have taken the order very seriously, have complied. We were here last time for very relatively small requests to move 2 of the dates back to allow for a little more time to come into compliance. We did that, and today we've seen the results, and I have nothing to say other than this is very quick compliance. We don't always see that, and I think it's appreciated, and a good thing. I do believe it makes sense to simply retain jurisdiction as requested by the district. We already had till October 31st, but also or until compliance with the terms is achieved. By removing that, we simply ensure that the permit will take effect and everything will be moving along at the facility at a quicker pace. Anyone else have any thoughts? Ms. Verdugo-Peralta.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank the Gormans also for the work that they did in taking us seriously in what we were requesting and the work that they did. And I know while it was a pretty penny that you had to pay, you recognize the fact that it was something you really had to do to continue business. I also wanted to thank the inspector for his due diligence in all of the hours that you actually went on site and took the pictures, whether it was day or night. That was, to me, incredible that you went during the evening hours, middle of the night, to take these pictures, but all in the working towards getting the information that we needed so that we could make a knowledgeable, prudent decision on this. But I did want to add that while you are receiving the complaints from the public in regards to the odor, that we take into account that since they are the smallest of those types of facilities, of the rendering facilities, plus the fact that there are also slaughterhouses there, I think it's all a contributing factor to the fact that we are receiving complaints from the public. So just to take that into account. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator, did you have discussion?
Yes, I not reopening testimony, but just make a comment. Exhibit 4D shows unexplainable trash in the area. And when I look at Exhibit 2A.
Can you repeat what I didn't quite hear what you said. You said 4D represents.
Yeah, 4D.
Represents what? Did you say?
A lot of trash, I would say, for lack of expert terminology, located and photographed in 7/30/19.
I believe the testimony of Mr. Harris was that this is a representation that the facility is now following the district rules to put its rendering materials, rather than having them out, to have them in covered containers.
This is not contained, is it? It's open.
Are you talking about
4D.
which part? All the background has containers, and
It's open. Or the container's in the background. I'm just looking at the material that's open. Okay. That's exposed. It looks like trash to me, I don't know. Not maintained in that area. 4D. I just, we're going along with it, but when I looked at Exhibit 2, 2A, et cetera, 2B, they've done a big difference. That's a big difference, an improvement, until I get to 4D. I wonder what's going on there.
I think the relevant part of 4D is that the odor-producing materials are what's contained in the containers that are covered. And anything we're seeing in the foreground that doesn't look tidy, doesn't look to me
Tidy.
like odor-producing materials, which is what the rules are meant to address.
The containers in the background, okay. That's covered, I guess. Anyway, I'm just looking at what's exposed. And can make a comparison to Exhibit 2, and all those photographs will really illustrate lots of major problems have been corrected. All right.
Mr. Balagopalan?
Yeah, I was going to add, I think once the permit to construct is issued, then the clock starts for the facility to construct an enclosure. And hopefully then, once that's done expeditiously, we won't see evidence of material lying out in the open as we see in 4A. I think once that is enclosed, the receiving area, then any potential odor from this receiving area will be substantially reduced.
Agree. Any other, because this, and as you point out, this is not the end of the story in terms of odor reduction, which I think goes to Ms. Verdugo Peralta's statement at the beginning of discussion and deliberation. And there are other rendering facilities who similarly are likely in the process of complying with the permitting for total enclosures. And so I think that the district is in the process of ensuring that the nearby communities will have the benefits of that soon.
That's correct, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Any other thoughts? Okay. Then I think we only have the one change to make, and I will make a motion that in the matter of AQMD versus SC AQMD versus D&D Disposal, Inc., doing business as West Coast Rendering Company, case number 3462-4. I move that we modify the existing order for abatement in one way, and that is to change the jurisdictional last paragraph to end after the date October 31st, 2019, so that the words "or compliance with the terms of this order is achieved, whichever occurs first." So it will now read, "The hearing board shall retain jurisdiction over this matter until October 31st, 2019, with no additional changes." Is there a second?
Until or after?
No, we are taking that out. So now it simply reads, "The hearing board shall retain jurisdiction over this matter until October 31st, 2019. Is that clear?
Until,
No. Yes, until
yeah.
October 31st, 2019, period.
Okay.
Okay. And Dr. Bernstein has seconded. Any discussion on that motion? Ms. Verdugo Peralta, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Balagopalan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Senator, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dr. Bernstein?
Aye.
I vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you for all your work on this case, in this matter. And we have no status updates, so thank you very much for work on both sides. Good luck. Okay, board members, we have no other matters until, do we set the training for 10 o'clock? Okay. So we are off the record until 10 o'clock, and we will reconvene in CC7? In CC7. We're off the record.